too, ride dirt bikes and catch airs.
I've been waiting so long to do this. One of my heroes is Evil Knievel.
I hope that everyone freaks out.
The race is pretty much on to 300 feet, so we'll see who gets there first.
In 2005, not far from Australia's Gold Coast, the Crusty Demons set out to break 6 world records in the tradition of the greatest daredevil of all time, Evil Knievel.
They want to have a world record 50 jump, 125, 250, 500, world record long distance jump doing a trick. So I think they're just trying to, you know, put everything in there to World Record Day because Guinness Books is coming out.
To celebrate Crusty Demon's 10th anniversary year, they held their biggest event so far in front of 22,000 people and constructed the largest motorcycle ramp in history. Although forced out of this event by injury, Californian madman Seth Enslow will use what he learnt from his own failed attempt at the record in 1999 to help our current riders. In the business, this is called flat landing, but most people would call it crashing.
When I overshot the landing back in December of 1999, going for the record, there just wasn't enough dirt available to make the landing as big as I needed it. And, you know, I told them I needed more dirt, and they had an excuse. A minor mile or 2 miles an hour difference, you know, makes all the difference in the world as far as distance, and you don't have a big enough landing, and then you pass it up quick and go to flats. So definitely, you know, need the landing to match the takeoff. The consequences are much greater if you do come off. You know, on the big jumps, you could break a femur or your face or, you know, a couple femurs or your back or, you know, just everything gets that much more dangerous.
This time, the man set to take out the outright distance record is Trigger Gumm. He'll attempt the massive gap on a 500cc motorbike.
Basically, my background is skateboarding. I always liked motorcycles, but, you know, I come from the beach, you know, and there's not really any place to ride. So basically, it was all about surfing and skateboarding. And then I finally got a bike, and I broke my foot so bad I couldn't go to my knees skating vert, you know. I could ride my motorcycle, but I couldn't skateboard. So I just took everything that I learned, like transition-wise, to a motorcycle. This is before freestyle even was around. How I even got here is basically Seth put this whole thing together. He was going to do the 250 overall record, and I asked him, I go, "Hey Seth, what do you think about me doing a 500 record? You know, and I won't even go for, you know, the 250 record. I'll let you have your whole deal." And he's just like, "Yeah, I'd love to feed off you and practice with you." And basically, when Seth got hurt, all of a sudden, they're all, "Who are we going to get to do the 250 record?" And they go, "Link," you know, and I go, "Well, you know what, I'll train him."
Larry Linkogle is also from California and one of the original Crusty Demon maniacs.
Basically, I grew up in a small town, and the only thing that was to do in my town was to ride your BMX bike and build jumps with it, and ride the kid next door's dirt bike. I started riding a dirt bike at the age of 11. By the time I was 15, I was already in the pro class racing Supercross. Basically, all I wanted to do was have fun on my dirt bike.
My love was just riding in the hills just to see who would go farther than who, you know. That was my forte, you know. Let's see who can twist it on and hold it on. And that evolved into like the freeride movement. And then it just steamrolled from there.
This particular record attempt in Australia started way back with Larry and Trigger practicing at Larry's Compound in California.
Well, me and Trig, we've been, he's one of my best friends, you know. A long time ago, he told me that he's going to build this ridiculous size ramp. And sure enough, dude, Tall-Tailed Trig showed up to my house with a 25-foot high ramp that I didn't think that he really was going forward with building. And he set it up and hit it, and I had to hit it with him. Now I just look at it as, let's build the biggest ramp we possibly can. And you know what, me and my best friends are gonna do what we did in the beginning, and we're gonna go big. And we're just gonna do gnarly stuff, bring the danger back into the sport.
4,000 miles away on the east coast of Australia, there's an even younger daredevil with a passion for jumping big gaps, Robbie Madison.
I remember watching Evil Knievel and Robert Knievel as a kid. I think it was on Mum's birthday or something like this, and I was a tacker, and Robert Knievel was jumping this massive gap on the TV, and I wasn't sitting at the table, I was out in the kids' room watching this jump, and it gave me shivers, and I can still picture it to the day, you know, just thinking that how awesome it was, and I think I've just been mesmerised by that kind of thing my whole life.
Robbie Madison.
Been full-time racing since he was 6 to 16. When he was about 4, his sister would be waiting at the bus stop to go to kindy, and he'd be coming down the road on his push bike overtaking the school bus. He used to set up little timber ramps outside and make kids lie down, and he'd jump them. He put the fattest kid on the end, so if he clipped him, it didn't hurt him.
Now a freestyle motocross champion in his own right, Robbie almost lost his life in 1996 when he contracted a deadly virus that left him debilitated and unable to ride.
I was in intensive care, and they had me booked into a brain damage place because a lot of people don't recover from what I had, you know, and there's only a small percentage of people that regain full mental capacity, and not that I ever had much, so there was not much to gain.
Racing dirt bikes, otherwise known as motocross, has been around for years. But it was in the early 1990s that a more expressive and innovative spin-off was developing. They called it freestyle motocross.
Basically, it was just us just riding. There was a guy with a camera, but we had no idea how big everything would get, and you know how much money was involved. I mean, it was just right at groundbreaking, you know.
Footage was emerging of maniacs who would trick and jump on anything they could, culminating in the first Crusty Demons video release in 1994.
I'll go to a doctor if I need to. I don't need to right now. You got some serious problems. You need to work out with yourself.
The first Crusty came out, and there was just that big, scary crash at Dumont Dunes, you know, where Seth just aired it out so big and just came down and just boom, imploded, and you see his femur break and, you know, arms snap, and just a horrendous, catastrophic crash. Sure. And then it just evolved, just got bigger and bigger and badder.
Crusties have definitely done a lot for the sport. You know, if it wasn't for, you know, those movies to get worldwide distribution, then, you know, there would be no sport of freestyle motocross. Bottom line, plain and simple.
freestyle motocross exploded into one of the fastest growing sports in history, and the Crusty videos spawned an entire culture, emerging from the dunes to become the biggest selling action sports videos of all time. And the riders are continually pushing the limits of what is humanly possible.
Like I said, back when I started the no-handed landing, I did like for 5-6 years, no one ever did it. Now, it's an everyday trick. Just like the backflip's an everyday trick. Now you got backflip heel clickers and backflip knack-knacks. So that's why I'm actually not too bummed out that I'm getting out of the sport. I've already broke my neck and my back twice, and it's getting too dangerous for the old man.
You basically almost got to commit suicide to get in a video, you know? It's like it went from one spectrum of having fun, and now you got to do something damn near suicidal to pull it, you know?
And even within this new, fast-growing sport, there were a small group of riders that were bitten by the bug to jump bigger and bigger gaps.
Now there's a handful of distance jumpers. Trigger Gumm, now Larry Linkogle's loving it, and Robbie Madison's all pumped on it. They've just never had the ramp to do it, like I said, the right tools, the landing, the area, you know, and that's what we have here out at the track at Ipswich is all those things.
Looks like someone knows what they're doing on the landing.
On their first day at the track, our riders inspect the construction of the biggest lander in the history of motorcycle jumping. 40 feet high, 160 feet long, and 30,000 cubic meters of dirt.
And I look at everything as a whole package, you know, my bike, you know, the ramp, the landing ramp. We went and smoothed it off and made it bigger and a little steeper. You always got to be willing to tune anything that's wrong. And if you see something that's out of the ordinary, you got to be ready to stop everything and fix it.
This is a first. I've never seen anything like this before. But I can't believe somebody try and jump that far. That just blows me away.
Down ramps looking just perfect, you know. I think by building it up like that, see that, Larry, right there? That, yeah. I think it's going to be definitely a softer landing, don't you? It almost looks in sync with the takeoff now, you know what I mean?
Other attempts I've seen, like Seth, when he did it before, you know, he just didn't have anywhere near the amount of dirt we've got now landing. It wasn't as safe. He had a steeper ramp, and he just took it on because that's all he knew. And just through his progression and things that he's done, they know, all right, the ramp needs to be like this and the down ramp needs to be like that.
The reason I came out here is just to make sure those guys are safe, and if they got any questions to bounce off me, and I'm there to help them, like, whatever. I'm not gonna be greedy and weird about the information that I've gained, you know, even though it's caused me a lot of pain. I've learned a lot of things the hard way. I'd rather hand it to them so they don't have to learn the hard way, and they can just, you know, take it from me.
Today we're just going to play with some gearing and just keep stretching the ramp back.
Hit the gap, get comfortable with the gap, and get this show on the road. This bike's actually been on the ship for like, I haven't seen it in 5 months. It's all rusty and stuff.
The suspension pretty much is what all my safety's on, so if the suspension wasn't right, I wouldn't be able to go as far as I want to go this weekend. So yeah, that's my main key, good suspension and a good bike.
A bit of rain was coming down, so I was happy to just sit it out. I didn't want to take any undue risks. And then, you know, Larry and Trigger pulled up and said, "What are you doing, man? You know, this is the only practice you're going to get. Get on your bike and come out here." And my bike wasn't ready to go. I needed to change my handlebars and just make sure a few final things were in place.
After making their adjustments to the setup, it's time for the boys to hit the ramp. But this isn't just playing around. Every practice jump is taking your life into your own hands.
Well, I'm just going to follow behind you and see the speed.
Wait, because I'm not even too sure.
The two Americans, Larry and Trig, head out there first and Trigger hits the jump. With the ramp giving him about 150 feet gap, it's further than the longest jump by Evil Knievel.
So far, what do you think, Seth?
That looks good. That first one, he landed a little hard, and I heard something like crack. It's better to land back wheel first on a longer distance jump. kind of pull you out of the landing instead of just sticking so much on your front wheel. And it's just, you know, easier on the bike and easier on you. That's what I was telling Trigger. The faster you go, the harder it is to land front wheel first, and the more chances of, you know, your front end breaking, your front wheel's bigger, spokes are longer. It's an easily broken part of the bike rather than the rear.
I think the guys that are going for the world record, they don't have to do it, but it's something that's been around for a long time. You know, Evil Knievel started it back in the day, and it's crazy. I mean, I went up to the ramp following Linkogle, fifth gear pin. I said, no. I pulled out. I said, no. It takes some, what do you say, balls to do that shit.
Slow the rebound down. It's rebounding too quick. It's like jarring you. Slow the rebound down.
Fourth and fifth are so different because I was hitting at fourth and barely making it. Then I clicked fifth, I landed all the way at the bottom.
Big difference.
So different.
Fourth gear revved out. You'd be surprised how fast you have to go in fifth to equal fourth gear revved out.
Larry has quickly realised that along with the crucial point of getting your speed right, at Ipswich there is also a potentially deadly side wind.
Hey, I felt the wind on that.
Me too. It's all blowy.
But with Seth's advice, Trig and Larry begin to move the ramp back regardless and make the gap even bigger. It's now or never.
The whole time the boys are out there hitting the ramp, pulling it back further and further. So I remembered them saying, you know, once the ramp starts moving back, it's not going to come forward again.
Madison's going to hit it on a 125. You're already in fifth at 100 feet, and he's going to hit it on a 125.
A small back sprocket.
And I said to the boys, you know, what's going on? I'm going to come out and have a ride with you now. And they said, don't go out and hit it. You know, they seem really worried for me. Yeah, if you don't get the jump right, it's going to be messy. You're going to die and stuff like this. And I was thinking, geez. So I said, yeah, I'm not going to jump it. I really want to follow someone over. So I just went out to have a look and suss the jump out. I had a few runs at it, and it didn't look as scary as what it looked when I first walked in there. So I just turned around, had another run at it, and as I came in, I just said, yep, you're going over, and I didn't even think twice.
After getting his bearings on the 125cc bike for his first record, Robbie then gears up to practice his 250cc record with a trick, but hasn't thought through which trick will work and goes for a hill clicker. Throwing the front wheel up while 70 feet in the air over a 200-foot gap. It was just moments from ending there and then for Robbie Madison.
I went for the heel clicker, and just jumping off the bike over a 70-foot distance, you don't feel the bike change its angles, but over 200 feet, the bike just started to drop away in the air and nearly lost the bike.
Robbie's got the no fear factor where he's ready to jump as big as he can, so I think that he's going to go for it. I just hope he doesn't push himself over his head and you know, crash, because, you know, him trying to do these tricks at these distances, the consequences are much greater if you do come off.
As far as us being professional freestyle riders, that's what we want no part in that. We'll leave that to them. Those guys can go big, and we'll go along.
Meanwhile, over at the FMX stage, the riders are gearing up and practicing their world-famous Crusty Demon show. But there's a big difference between their jumps and these record chasers.
Once you fly a bike over 200 feet, drop the nose if you hit the brake, and if you gas it, the tail comes down. And then side to side, you basically just shift your body weight, and it catches the wind, and it'll start traveling over, and then basically shift it back whichever way you need to go. You're literally controlling the bike like an airplane, but you're definitely, you know, flying the bike. You know, you're flying our aluminum machine, you know, by the seat of your pants. You're flying it.
With a couple of jumps under their belts, our riders are gaining confidence when suddenly the sky darkens and their time is cut short.
Look at how crazy that is over there, brother.
With the forecast looking patchy, the promoters are praying that this multi-million-dollar setup has not all been for nothing.
We'll get a good session in the morning, and I'm sure it'll be all good.
The boys haven't had nearly the amount of practice they need. Adding to the already frayed nerves, they'll have to pray that their preparation has been enough to get them through. It's the day before the big night and the weather is horrendous. Heavy rain is mudding the lander and takeoff, making conditions slippery and hazardous, not to mention depriving our riders of essential practice time. Now the morning of the event, the hot Queensland sun has helped dry out the track enough for the boys to get back to work and repair the lander. Time also for the last vital gear check. Any equipment failures will be deadly.
Pretty big gap, huh? I think the gap alone is like at 210, 200, something like that.
You couldn't pay me $100 to hit that ramp. It's true, I wouldn't do it. There ain't no senior citizen long distance record, so I'm gonna go for it next year about 100 foot.
There's no speedometer on our bike, so you just kind of got to guess at this point. Hope you make it right first time, then you'll kind of know your speed.
It seems Larry has worked out his speed for the run-up on his 250.
Hey, I'm not going to be comfortable until I'm like 5th tap, so I know exactly how to hit it.
Dude, well, I ain't got that one. 5th tapped and I got 300.
While Trigger has identified his target, with the record currently at 251 feet, he's aiming for a record-breaking 260 feet.
You know, basically I cracked over 240 feet, so I'm feeling really comfortable. I can push it out another 20 feet and eat the deal.
But of all people, it's Robbie, on the smallest bike, that's the keenest to move the ramp further back.
I just got 200, so I just need a bit more run up because the motor, because it's geared so high, it needs a longer distance to kind of get the revs on board and build its maximum speed.
So you want to just leave it right here?
Well, if we come back another one, it puts me kind of in a better place in the ramp. I'm not going so far down the landing.
Whatever you feel comfortable with, brother.
The riders need to keep moving the ramp back and extending the gap if they want any chance of breaking the record.
You guys have one more couple of jumps on 210, or then move another 10 and go back to 220 and then
We're going to break record once we go to 220. Once it's a 220, record's broke.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Robbie is now battling a 30-kilometre side wind whilst trying to comprehend the magnitude of a 200-foot jump with a freestyle trick.
You know, basically we got rain yesterday. All the conditions have just worked totally against us. Practice this morning, we feel all good, and now the wind picked up again, you know, so it's just one of those things where, you know, if it gets too windy, we're going to have to call it. We got a couple more hours before showtime, so hopefully everything will go good.
I think at the end of practice we're at 230, so that's basically where we just shut it down at, was 230.
When I was going for the record had stood at 251 feet for about 10 years. So that was the record I was going after. It's funny that record still pretty much stands. A guy in England said he beat it by 2 feet, so now supposedly the record's 253, but you know, it's still pretty much the same deal. 2 feet's only that far, so whatever. You know, it'd be nice to get it out there to 260, 265 this weekend, and then and hopefully come back with another day of records in the next 6 months to a year, and hopefully I'll be healthy and take it to the next level of 275 or 280.
As a rider, of course, you start to think about where you might be in a couple of hours.
When you start doubting yourself, and that's when you'll start getting hurt. It's just, you just got to be, you know, confident in what you do. And, you know, I've trained my whole life to ride and jump big jumps, so, you know, I'm just going to go out there and be natural.
I think actually after I break the record or fail, there's two different plans. It's either a hospital or they built a bar over there where we're gonna celebrate.
With the nerves now impossible to control, suddenly it's time for the gates to open and for 22,000 fans to pour into the Ipswich Raceway from all over Australia.
Queensland fans, welcome out to Queensland Raceway and what is tipped to be the biggest day in extreme sport ever in this country. Of course, the World Record Day. We have got the 125 distance world record, the 250 longest trick world record, a quad distance jump, and then the big one, the 250, the 500, and the overall long distance world record. Folks, going on the practice, it will be broken here later on tonight.
To get the crowd warmed up for the big jumps to come, there are two more local Aussie lunatics set to make record attempts. The first is Clint Debner from Penrith, New South Wales, who's going to attempt the gap on a 50cc mini bike.
In the scene of mini bike racing, there is a record out there that is around 65 to 70 feet. Clint Debner, if he makes it over this point here, will break that record, but Clint Debner wants 90 feet, folks, on a mini bike, and that is the white line right here. Queensland, to get things underway, let's get loud for Clint Debner! There it is, 86.4 feet. Brisbane, a big round of applause for our first world record holder of the day, Clint Debner from Penrith.
Well, he didn't quite make the white line, but it does take guts to attempt to jump on a bike like that.
That's how I roll.
There it is, Clint. Thanks very much.
The next was another typical Crusty Demon, Queenslander Jamie Barkler, wanting to set a new world record mark on a quad bike.
Well, it is a little bit windy, and of course the quad's a lot heavier, which will soak up the wind a little bit more.
The world record is currently held by the Kangaroo Kid at 134 feet, which is 40.9 metres. I'm hoping for around the 150 mark.
Queensland, give it up for Jamie Barkler! Jamie will be going for the record on his first jump. The ramp has been set. Jamie is set to go. He said, if I miss it on the first one, can I go again? Jamie Barkler! Oh, yeah!
Getting the official word right now.
New world record of 149 feet! Jamie Barkler!
149 feet, Jamie Barkler jumps his way past the Kangaroo Kid and into the history books. With two records broken, it's now time to get into the really dangerous end of proceedings with the arrival of Robbie Madison.
Not only going off the big ramp to here, but how about we mix a little freestyle? You guys are gonna see the attempt at the world record of the 250cc with the freestyle trick. Are you guys ready?
With no proven track record, Robbie Madison is definitely the unknown factor in this event. His is possibly the most insane attempt of all, letting go of the handlebars at 80 feet in the air over a 200-foot gap.
I know there's doubt. A few people around that in my capabilities and in my mindset, you know, is there screws loose in there or is he just a wild kid? But being sick and being familiar with the hospitals, I'm not afraid of it anymore. And being afraid of it, I think, is one thing that does bring you closer to being injured.
Coming out and going for the world long distance freestyle trick record is none other than one of the most talented freestyle riders this country has ever produced. Queensland, Make some noise for Robbie Madison!
It was one thing hitting it for the first time, you know, airing it out at a huge gap is another thing, and breaking a record. So he's definitely got some work ahead of him, you know. Let's see if he can do it.
It's been a dream for a long time, and I've seen guys like Seth and these guys stepping up the bigger gaps, and always knew in the back of my head that it's something that I could do, but I never used to tell myself I could do it. I used to just watch movies and watch people going big, and just I used to get a chill down my spine, and I didn't realise that chill meant that one day I was going to be doing it.
In an extraordinary jump, Robbie soars above the crowd and stretches out into a Superman, truly flying, and coming within 5 feet of the overall distance record. After proving his worth and revving up the home crowd, the young Daredevil's night is not over. It's time to set the distance record on a smaller 125cc, a bike Robbie doesn't usually ride.
All right, folks, right now, he is not done with one world record. This kid wants to take home 2. Once again, put your hands together and welcome, going for the 125cc long distance world record, Robbie Madison! Less than half an hour ago, you made the Guinness Book of Records. You're back out here. You definitely want to take home 2, don't you?
Yeah, it's what I love. I got the opportunity, so I'm jumping at it.
All right, Queensland, give it up for Robbie Madison! The mark is on the ground. It's well over the record. Watch the official word.
Robbie, I am very happy to congratulate you on going 221 feet flat!
As night begins to fall, Robbie lines up his takeoff and can't help but shake his fist on the way in. And then give the crowd a cocky head turn in the air.
It's awesome. I just held the thing pin and everything's worked out like I dreamed it to be. I want to just keep going bigger. Why stop at 221 and 246?
With young Robbie Madison now in the record books, it's time for the party the Crusty Demons are so famous for to get going.
This is a 10-year party. You are here to help us celebrate the greatest freestyle show of all time. So Queensland, are you guys ready to party?
At the biggest extreme event in history, there's everything from snowmobiles to rock bands, synchronized freestyle, tricks, crashes, quad bikes, and crusty babes. The crowd are treated to such names as Alaskan Jumping Jimmy Blaze, Adam Jones, Bubba, Jim McNeil, and Billy Walls. No one parties like the Crusties.
What about a brand new motorbike? You
With the biggest Crusty event well and truly in top gear, it's now time for the business end of the night, where we head back to the world record stage.
You know, it seems for so long that long distance was out of the frame. It seemed freestyle motocross and then the racing, obviously Chad Reed from down here. It's just been so big, but there was something that brought long distance jumping back into it, and we've got a very, very special guest here.
Brisbane, a big welcome for Seth Enslow! Well, Seth, welcome back to Brisbane now. Unfortunately, not able to jump tonight due to a broken ankle.
That's right, I broke my ankle. Doctor put 6 screws in it, the bastards. Took me out, can't do my jump. Been planning on this for years, but we got the next best thing. Larry Linkogle and Trigger Gumm have been my buddies for a decade, and they're here to back me up, and I'm here to back them up, and you are gonna see a world record.
Larry and Trigger take turns in jumping and start off with a practice jump to test the conditions. Only 2 other men in history have jumped further than 200 feet.
Well, that was great. You know, it's not big enough. We're gonna stretch it back bigger and go huge.
So now it's Larry's moment of truth. Can he break the distance record on a 250cc motorcycle?
If all goes well, and if not, then obviously we'll be here to talk about the after interview.
I never really think about him getting hurt, ever. So it's kind of just what he's meant to do, I guess. He just said he just wants to go bigger than everybody. You know, he just wants to just be a gnarly human being. So I just can't wait for it to all be done and when we can go celebrate.
With the ramp now moved even further back, Larry attempts the biggest jump of his life.
The amount of time you're in the air is just pretty ridiculous. It's like you got a lot of time just to hang out, kind of.
255.4 feet!
We didn't have any doubts, but...
Never a doubt. We knew he would do it.
You never know.
That's what he was born to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Linkogle!
I think this was definitely a big step in the right direction for the direction we want to take. You know, jumping big gaps.
Queensland, your new long-distance record breaker, Larry Linkogle!
255 feet on a 250cc bike. Larry is now the outright world record holder. Can Trigger go further on his more powerful 500cc machine?
Ideally, Trigger has the opportunity to go farther than anybody at the end of the day, because he can see who went the farthest and not stop until he goes that far, or, you know, crashes trying or whatever.
Well, you know, this will be history pretty much, you know. I'm going to try to jump a motorcycle farther than anybody on the planet. You know, if that ain't history, I don't know what is, you know.
We are moving the ramp back!
Trigger decides it's time to go for broke. He pushes the ramp back a further 20 feet. If he lands, the record is his.
It's a calculated risk, you know. It's still completely life-threatening, but, you know, you put everything, all your homework together, and if everything comes in line, you know, just it should just basically, you know, go like, you know, like clockwork.
But on this jump, something goes horribly wrong. Consumed by nervous energy, Trig made his run up early before officials had given him the all clear.
Oh, God!
In a moment of sheer terror, Trigger came within inches of crashing directly into commentator Steve Scott.
Oh, God!
I almost hit him. I flew directly over the top of his head, and it was just a really close call.
It was at this moment that both men thought they were going to die. In the pandemonium that ensued, ambulance officers treated Steve Scott for shock, and Trigger's confidence was shattered.
And nobody knew where I landed because everybody was scattering, kind of miscommunications.
All right, folks, officially, the 500cc world record holder, 251 feet, Trigger Gumm! And welcome back to Seth Enslow! Well, Seth, welcome back. How was it? Unfortunately, you're not jumping, but being there, two of your boys, new world records.
Hey, let's get a remeasure on Trigger's jump, because if he went 251, he actually tied the 500 record.
So I was really shaken up, and I go, Larry, all right, you got the record. You know, I'm done. That was it. You know, that was too close. You know, let's take off our gear and basically call it a night.
With 251 feet, Trig has equalled the world record, but is visibly shaken. He knows he is lucky to have his life. For now, it seems 260 feet is beyond us.
And I was leaving, and Seth Enslow came over to me and goes, Trig, man, you've got to hit it again, because basically when everyone went running, nobody had an official mark of how far you went. And I'm all, man, dude, I just had a close call. And he goes, hey, you're never going to get this opportunity again. You've worked way too hard for it. And I kind of just snapped, and I go, you're right. He goes, go back out and hit it.
He has to go for one more jump, and in an unbelievable act of courage, Trigger heads down the runway to risk his life one more time.
If he doesn't put a handle on it now, he's going to wish 2 months from now he did.
Time is now.
Time is now. And I haven't gave the official measurement yet, but he definitely cleared 251. I think he might be close to 260. We'll have to wait and see.
Basically, had a really, really, really good flight, and super hard impact on landing. And basically just just pulled it, and it was beautiful. It was just surreal. I've been waiting so long to do something like this that it feels really good.
That impact could have been catastrophic, but somehow Trig held on, and now we wait and see if he has the record that he risked his life for.
The official word is about to come.
Went up to the approach, and I went off the top, and I was just flying, absolutely flying. I peered down at the spectators, and they were so far down.
The new world record, 200
277 feet, smashing the previous record and taking the sport of motorcycle distance jumping into a new era. A truly phenomenal, death-defying achievement.
You know, it's definitely going to gain popularity after this show, and there'll be a lot more people wanting to jump on the bandwagon and see how far they can jump their dirt bikes. So I think it's unlimited to how far you can go. You know, 300 foot is definitely not the end of the road. Who knows, before I die, somebody might jump 500 feet on a dirt bike doing 100 miles an hour. Or maybe they design ramps so they only need 90 miles an hour to go that far. Who knows?
Just gets it straight today, 'cause the all in all is gone away. Hey, it's like the reason you sit next to me and tell me that you